Hello, and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses for today's episode 4 of the Fox's Den. Is Ragsy just in time? You might have just noticed him join late there. Let's start with the late guy. He was just on time last week or 2 weeks ago, and I was going to say Ragsy just in time, but now he was actually late. So let's start with you, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I just snuck in just right after the edit. I thought, like, okay, this could have been perfect timing, and then just saw the three. I was like, okay, that's my bad. That's my bad. You can take it.
Yeah, it's all good, mate. It's all good. Thanks to people who are already leaving the comments. Keep getting them in. Let us know. This is obviously a preview for Arsenal, and we'll talk a little bit about Walsall last night as well. So get your comments in. If you are a member of the channel, you can leave your free Ricky P emojis in the chat. So please do that. Anil, over to you, mate. How are you doing?
I was doing good till I started seeing some of this gaslighting that's been going on by some of the media in terms of making us think that Steve Cooper's doing a great job. So we'll come on to that in a moment. But before that, I was doing well.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised to see Dean Saunders doing it. I expected it from him. But yeah, I did see, who else was it? Danny Murphy, I think, as well. So yeah, let us know in the comments what you thought if you did see that. If not, watch it after this video on TalkSport. Josh Sportser, how you doing, fella? How's your first week or 2 weeks in uni been, mate? All right? Back at uni, shall I say?
Yeah, bit messy, but yeah, got to concentrate now, haven't we? So, but yeah, I'm good, mate. Good, all good.
If the content levels drop over at Sportser, you know why? It's because he's hungover. That's why. Right, let's look at some comments. Even to you, Chester Leicester. Bonjour, ladies, from Tripe and Onions. That looks horrific, that food. No offense, mate. LCFC fans says apparently Cooper says he should be back by next week. Oh, okay, so he's on about Vestergaard. I heard Yannick rolled his ankle and is injured, 100%. And then he said he should be back. Tap out time says big up locks, keep landing it. Cheers, mate. Obviously, again, even to Silver Fox as well and Kunal. So, right, lads, before we get on to Arsenal, obviously we drew on the weekend against Everton 1-1, a game that we all sat here last week and said, well, Ragsy wasn't here, but we all said, I'm sure Ragsy, wherever he was saying it, that we had to win it, and we didn't. Josh, it was a terrible first half performance, wasn't it, mate? It was shocking.
Yeah, it's one of them, innit? Yeah, them type of games, you just want to start quick, don't you? Especially at home, and then you come up with that performance. It's a bit underwhelming, isn't it? But yeah, we got a point, but we should have to get 3 points then. And we'll look back at towards the end of the season if we do go down. Yeah, if we miss out by 2 points, that could well be it. So yeah, frustrating once again. Obviously, yesterday was no better, was it? I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk to you, Anil, about the Everton game because we've already spoken loads, mate. So I'll talk to you about Walsall. But Ragsy, I know you guys do something over on Fossa on the match day with Everton. How were you reacting to the game?
Same old shit, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I want to be proven wrong about Cooper. I don't go into games and think and try and enforce some sort of agenda like what the media are suggesting or saying like, oh, he's a Forest reject. He's just a British manager and stuff. And we're used to this. If he was called Stephen Coutinho, then we'd all be lapping it up and stuff, and we'll be embracing and giving him a positive.
Coutinho or Kupesca? Kupesca, I reckon, mate.
Kupesca? Nah, don't disrespect him. Like, you can't listen. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, but you head into the game, even for Cooper advocates that can sit there and say, look at the first half against Palace, and you sort of see the sort of style there, and we were on the front foot. And I agree, we were. I think that was our best half of the season against Palace, and then it all fell away. Okay, yes, there was a very questionable goal that shouldn't have really been allowed, and you can sit there and, okay, you can take that forward. You've got a new game, a new challenge, no excuses. And you're flattered to the seed. You have a whole week. You've been hyping it up in the press conference about how everybody was in good spirits. Like, it was a really positive week in terms of training. And you head into the game in the first half, and I just see 11 strangers on the pitch that have just come out of a funeral.
Yeah.
Like, they had no cohesion. They had no plan. They had no structure. I don't need to have my UEFA coaching licenses And I don't need to be a sporting director or any hillbilly like from King Power board or whatever in charge of that has anything remotely to do with football to see that we are not being coached well or adequately or sufficiently as a team. And you can clearly see that because there's no cohesion there. The setup is just a mess. Like we were going through it, like one of our guys on the stream yesterday, and he does like an average formation. I'm not kidding. There's like a cluster of 6 players where it's just shaped like a pizza slice or a sombrero. Like you saw like a clear structure with like a 3-2-4-1 with Enzo. I'm not even kidding. Like it's adopted from like in Cooper's sort of formation. It's adopted from Pizza Hut. It's a joke.
Well,
It's a mess. There's nothing about it there at all. How can people sit here and look at these performances and say that we have anything to build from this? We have any sort of hope post Everton to say we're going to get results this season?
Yeah. Well, you took us on nicely to Walsall there. I'll come over to you, Anil, because I actually saw you. I saw you in your match analysis talk about the pizza slice formation or the average line, the average positions. I mean, overall, mate, what did you make to the game? Because I keep seeing from particularly because I follow them, but I keep seeing views from a certain member of another fan channel say about how it's fine because we made it through to the next round, and he made 10 changes. So what do you expect? But I mean, there's it's a different planet. The level of the players that were on the pitch for us and the level of the players that were on the pitch for Walsall. So what do you make to all of the people who are kind of defending it and just saying, well, 10 changes, we got through, it is what it is?
Well, my stance on this is I'm not Cooper in or Cooper out. I just keep saying the way that he's going, he will literally sack himself. There will be you won't even have to ask about it. And the reason for that is you can just look at the underlying data. Like Leicester's one of the least creative teams in the league. Every single game so far, the opposition has had better XG than us other than against Tranmere. I wouldn't even be surprised if yesterday against Walsall that they had better XG than us because they forced us in some really quality saves from Danny Ward other than maybe at the end. Yeah, we played really poor. Again, if you look at the system, what was just been said earlier, there's like 3 players in a line looking like they're all standing in the same place. First shot on target, I think, was 65 minutes in with Buonanotte stooping to get a header. I mean, Maresca would make a lot of changes, but you would see a clear system in place and seeing how we try to play. Players look absolutely lost in terms of what they're doing. And we're not even getting into the fact that, like, when you're chasing a win, what is the first sub that he makes? Jordan Ayew. And then he decides to bring 4 subs on in the 79th minute, so 10 minutes to play, and they've got no time to get into the game, and therefore Walsall end the game sooner. It's just very lucky to get through. And so the thing is, okay, sure, we have got through, great. But the thing is that a blind man can see that the way that we're going is going to come back and catch up with you. Because the last time that our underlying data was this bad, that we're in the Premier League, I probably don't need to spell out to you what happened. And, with that case as well, the underlying data had been bad for a while. So it'd been bad the previous season while we were kind of slumping down the table. We got away with it and then eventually just caught up with us and it was game over. So, yeah, sure, get through, great. But I mean, that's the thing about the gaslighting is that a lot of people are saying, oh, you're 15th though, you're through into the cup.
Yep.
But that I would say to them, respectfully, have you actually seen any of the games that we have played? Respectfully, do you have any idea what system we're even trying to play? Because I know that they wouldn't have answers to both of those. Anyway, I don't want to hog all the time, but yeah, it was a poor game to watch and just systematic of a poor coach, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, Leicester Fan TV, Tom's a very balanced guy. He reminds me of you a little bit, and Neil. He's in terms of level-headed. He's not in or out. He just can see where this might be going. But he says really poor performance, very much similar to Stockport a few years ago. Just can't see any identity on this team from Cooper yet. I mean, I was on Just Joe Football Show earlier on today, having a catch up with Joe, and he was saying about would you take Farker at Leicester? And I said, well, I don't want him, but I'd have him over Cooper. I mean, there are many managers I would have over Cooper, and I did make him laugh a little bit when I said I'd even take Jesse Marsh over Steve Cooper. and I, you know what? I probably mean that. I'm not even taking the piss. So, right, let's just quick couple comments before we move on to Arsenal. So, just because we were in League One and now in the Prem doesn't mean be content. I agree. That was another thing I said to Joe earlier. He was talking about, oh, aren't your expectations too high? And I said, well, expectations change. They have to change. You know, it's like when we got relegated. You know, we finished 5th, 5th, 8th, relegated. You know, if expectations didn't change, some people would be like, oh, well, you know, we were in the Championship 10 years ago, so it's all right. We're just back there now where we were 10 years ago. And, you know, it's just such a tin pot, narrow-minded way of looking at football, I believe. And finally, Paul says from who's watching on for Fox 8 TV, the subs should have come on 20 minutes earlier. They would have a better chance of winning the game. 100%. Remember, please hit the like button and keep getting your comments in throughout the stream. Be much appreciated. Right, Ragsy, what do you want to see, mate? Could we be on Saturday against Arsenal? Because I don't think any of us give us any hope at all. I've been told by Forest fans that we won't get battered. We won't get thumped because of the way Cooper will set up. Do you just see it being just a really shit game, just us defending and maybe conceding 1 or 2, or do you think we might give it a go? Because we haven't given it a go against the likes of Everton and Fulham, so we're going to give it a go against Arsenal, mate.
I mean, what I really want is not really going to happen is this manager gone, but let's face it, unless if these sort of balls manage to drop on this board, then it's not really going to happen, is it? So we'll be real there. He'll get this Arsenal game. He'll probably get until October, November at least, depends on how bad it actually gets. But for the Arsenal game, yeah, I kind of feel like it's what you described first. I think he's actually going to look at this and he'll be in his element and he'll be in his right to go out there and be properly resolute. I think actually because the manager and the players would look at this as like a free hit, because when you look at the Fulham game, he was clearly playing out for a draw, just sort of hanging himself in there and being reactive, and then sort of waiting for those subs to come on against Fulham just to see if they could like try and pip for a winner maybe, or just pip to bring some new energy in to hold out for the draw. But then right before the subs came on, they scored their second goal. With this, I think Cooper in his mind and maybe these players in their mind are just looking at this and going, yeah, there's no hope to it. So why not just at least go out there and just showcase yourselves? Like if it's a big game like Arsenal, they'll just sort of like pick themselves out there. Not that it's on TV or anything, but literally just be like, it's just a nice little challenge for them. There's not really too much pressure on it. So that's probably where the shackles may sort of come off a bit. And you might see the players just being more competitive in their duels and a bit with pressing. I actually think it might be a competitive game. But if I think it's probably a bit more of a proactive approach compared to what we would usually see with like the first half against Tottenham and how it sort of ended with Fulham, etc. But if we are sort of flat and we're waiting just to bend over to Arsenal, then I really worry for our goal difference. Swear to God, man. So, but I'm kind of thinking it'll be competitive, but we'll still lose.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I've started a comment, Neil, about the backfire. I'll come to you in a sec about that. Quick one. Ant's Leicester Fan channel has become a member of the channel. Thank you very much, Ant. Get those free Ricky P emojis spammed in the chat. If anybody else does want to become a member, it's much appreciated. But if not, carry on watching for free. It's all free. Josh, before we talk about the Lokes, I'm going to save that for Neil because I know he's got something to say about it. So what I wanted to ask you, Josh, is, you know, all season long we've discussed the midfield situation, and we predicted a 3DM midfield against Palace, and it happened, but it did work in a way. I think, you know, and Ndidi was very good in that game. He's been very good all season, to be honest with you. But going into this game, where we are expected to lose, where we are expected probably, or Cooper is going to want to just try and stay in the game for as long as possible. Do you see it being the same midfield three of Winks and Ndidi Skip? I know it changed with Bilal El Khanous against Everton, but do you still see it being the same midfield three for Arsenal?
Yeah, there's no chance he's going to change it. I think we'd all like to see Buonanotte start, but it's never going to happen against Arsenal. He'll play Declan over Reed. He'll play Ayew as well out wide. We'll get that masterclass. But yes, to be fair, against Palace, it worked, didn't it? Because, you know, we were in the game, we were doing well, and obviously we messed up towards the end. But Yeah, I think case of the Arsenal game, it's Cooper's going to try and hang in there as long as he possibly can. He's going to try and shit out a result like he has in every single game so far this season. I just can't see it. I think our midfield's going to get overrun. I don't think they're bad players, but when you got Arsenal's midfield, I don't know if Odegaard's back or not, but just the talent in their side alone, I think whatever midfield you do play, it's going to be difficult, especially when you're playing under a manager who doesn't really have any sort of identity in the way he wants to attack or play. So yeah, I think it'd be Winks and Diddy and Skip in there, which isn't a bad three, but is it enough? Do we have anyone who's enough really to compete against Arsenal on paper? Probably not, but yeah, I think it'd be them through.
Yeah. LCFC fan said, I swear if this motherfucker plays Bobby over Steffi, I'll invade the pitch as well and give him a piece of my mind. Mavididi really has something to prove as the ex-Arsenal Academy product. I mean, for me, there's no doubt you have to play Mavididi. It's just a shame he's too coward to play Fatu with him. But right, Anil, talk to me on this back five prospect, because I saw you speaking about it last night. The Silver Fox spoke about it here. Low block, 5 at the back with 2 attacking players and counter on transitions. That's my prediction for the Arsenal game. And I believe it's your prediction as well, mate.
It is, because I've seen how they've lined up against them in the past. But I was going to say, first, that I'm right there with Ragsy, with Ulox, everyone that's in the get Cooper out brigade, right? I'm on that camp. But I will say, as crazy as this sounds, there's 2 fixtures this season where I think having Steve Cooper in charge instead of Enzo Maresca might actually be to the benefit of Leicester City. And you can probably guess what those 2 games are. It's against Man City and it's against Arsenal. Because those teams, let's be honest, if you've seen the league, they're in a league of their own right now. It's one of those 2 for the title. So, many teams have gone there before. They've tried to actually play football and they just get absolutely battered. And the classic words everyone's going to say is free hit, right? So if it is a free hit, maybe there is something to be said for actually just making it, Ant said there, vile time wasting from minute 1, just play really defensive. I mean, if you saw the second half, Man City against Arsenal last week, Arsenal, because they're a man down, they did exactly the same thing. They had a 5-4 formation, not even a 1 up front, because they had a man sent off. And I don't know if you saw, but Kai Havertz, he finished the game as the first player in Premier League history to complete 90 minutes and made a grand total of 0 passes. He didn't make a single pass the entire game because he weren't looking to pass it. He was just looking to hoof it out and clear it. So, and if you get a point, it doesn't matter how ugly it is, that point could be invaluable. So the proverbial shithousing performance might be okay. So I think it'll be one of those where it's really disgusting to watch. Actually, what my prediction will be is I think we will hold out for quite a long time and then they'll score. And then, yeah, as someone said, I think we might just have like an XG of 0. Wouldn't surprise me. But I'm thinking through my head and thinking, look, it depends. Like, if it was Enzo, he would go there with philosophy and he would try to play and then he'd probably end up getting beaten 3 or 4-0, but having some really good moments or maybe score one class goal when the system works. But at the end of the day, sure, Vincent Kompany works for him because he got a job with Bayern Munich, but I'm sure the Burnley fans aren't exactly too happy about that, although they're not doing too bad in the Championship. So, sometimes this is one of the few times where maybe having a pragmatic manager isn't the worst thing in the world. But yeah, I can't really see us getting anything there, but I do think he'll go that system. So that would mean probably Cody coming into the team. To be fair, some of you said he has got, Ayew and Bobby de Cordova-Reid, so he could go that way as well. But just judging on what we've seen him so far, i.e. Coward Cooper, I think we'll see maximum coward mode. That's my theory.
Did you see that? I don't know if anybody who watched the full game or not, but LCFC fan says, did you guys notice when one of Fatu's crosses had no one at the end of it where Steffi should be? He went up to Cooper and physically complained, doubting his tactics maybe. I mean, again, we've had rumours for the last few weeks about players apparently not getting on board with Steve Cooper's tactics, if you can call it that. I think one of the rumors a couple of weeks ago was that he actually was consulting with the player, asking the players what he thought, what they thought to, and it's just so different because Enzo, mate, I don't know if you saw Enzo's interview after their most recent game actually in the league, and they said, oh, how easy has it been to get the players on board with your tactics? And he said, if they're not on board, they don't play. It's as simple as that. They don't play. Which you can believe, right? With Enzo and what we saw of him, that would be the case. So that doesn't surprise me one bit. But this time Steve Cooper's actually going to them, and I'm not even saying Anil or Ragsy, I'll come to you. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing what Cooper's doing, but I just think from the year that they had with Enzo last year to this, it's such contrast. And for me, it's why people said in the summer, Cooper's like a smart decision. I didn't think it was, because we were told that they were looking for a manager of the similar ilk, and it's the complete opposite. So, yeah, what do you make to the whole players doubting his tactics rumors?
To be honest, I kind of struggled to see how it was really going to work, even when he said like he was going to try this sort of hybrid system with what Enzo sort of produced last season, which has only come really from learning from Pep Guardiola. So you're only looking at a certain pool of coaches that are able to sort of pull off, which is inspiration from Johan Cruyff, etc., and like the La Masia Academy and all sorts, and then implement his little bits on it. So we'd go with fullbacks and we'd go route one at times, and we'd be more direct. But then that sort of is a conflict of styles there. So how do you then sort of switch from one to the other in the game and keep that consistent throughout the season? And how is that really going to work to make it into like a system where it's going to be working consistently, basically? It's I think I don't know about with Fatawu and this sort of like revolt and stuff, and whether he's complained to Cooper. What I did notice though, usually you have a manager and his instructor, and they go through all together as to like who's going to be taking penalties. This was yesterday against Walsall, but what Cooper did was he had a note of potential sort of penalty takers, gave it to Cody, and then Cody talked to the rest of the team, and. Then, if what you said is true around the fact that he's talking to the players, I mean, we talk about this sort of inferiority complex when it comes to facing like other teams that he thinks are better than them. He's got an inferiority complex with his own squad.
Yeah,
like it's not going to last. I think he's just completely out of his depth. It's not a defined style. You're thinking from the outset that. You're kind of hoping with his 6 to 9 months away that he'd be able to sort of go away, work on his style, figure out what he can want. With Enzo as well, it's such.
Apparently, that's what he did. By the way, apparently that's what he did when he left Forest. He was offered the Palace. He was offered the Palace job just after, and he turned it down. And he said he wanted to work for 6 months on learning the game more. So,
it's just such a huge drop off. And when you compare it to Enzo as well, where he's so set in his ways, but he believes in his philosophy so much, and it's just like his ideas, his credentials, and then players see to that and he's so hands-on as a coach rather than just being very standoffish like Cooper is. And you have to be involved. You have to sort of like every single training session just to motivate, and he's right in the thick of it. But with Cooper, if you're not sure and you're believing in your own way, how are you going to convince your players that what you're doing is the right thing to do to get yourself out of a relegation battle? And what's happening is they don't believe in him whatsoever.
Well, the thing with me as well is that, I mean, someone tried to prove the rumors wrong. I mean, they might be bullshit. Of course they might be. We're not saying that they're 100% true. It's from bloody Team Talk and Football Insider. There's no guarantees that they're true. But someone tried to prove it wrong to me the other day by showing me a photo of Vardy smiling with Cooper and saying, see, they're fine. So I got up a photo of Vardy smiling with Puel, and I said, see, they're all right. You know what I mean? It's a load of shit. But yeah, I think, the thing with Cooper is that with Forest, he had credit in the bank. Rodgers had credit in the bank. He has no credit in the bank with Leicester. And even Cooper with the Forest players, he had such a good relationship, even just from the year before in the Championship, where he came in and he took them to promotion, and he had a bond with them. Whereas he's come into this team, it's a difficult start, it's a hard start. It'll be so easy for relationships to fracture, and I only see it end in one way. But apparently, me saying that means that I want the club to fail. So anyway, let's not say that. Right, I want to talk about the striker quickly. Edouard obviously came in on transfer deadline day. It was all we could get in terms of strikers. He played on last night against Walsall. I mean, just like many others, he didn't really impress or do anything to show that he should start against Arsenal. But Josh, was he going to start anyway? It was always going to be Vardy for the big six, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, yeah, of course. Vardy's got a great record against Arsenal. If anyone's going to score, it's probably going to be him, isn't it? And if you are going to sit back deep, he's still got a bit of pace to him, which can obviously stretch it slightly, clutching at straws there a little bit. But yeah, I thought Edouard wasn't great last night. But yeah, just like you said, there was no one really great. There was no service for him whatsoever, and he struggled like the vast majority of the whole team. So yeah, it's a difficult introduction for him, but we could see Edouard off the bench potentially for a bit. But then again, I think Leicester are going to be trying to play that kind of counter-attacking style for the whole 90 minutes, really. So I can only really see it being Vardy. Obviously, got rested against Walsall. I don't think he travelled at all, did he? So yeah, it's got to be Vardy unless he picks up an injury or anything like that.
Anil, do you expect any surprise inclusions in the lineup, bar maybe Cody if he goes with a back five? Do you see? Because I think the Bilal inclusion was a shock to many against Everton. What are you seeing? Do you is there anyone that stands out and you think, yeah, he might actually get a look in? Or
I'll give you a spicy one. Danny Ward in goal.
Mate, you know what? You know what, mate? You know what? It wouldn't surprise me. It honestly would not surprise me. Genuinely.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either, because he had a fantastic display in the cup, right? And he is Welsh and everything like that. But I just want to rewind a little bit. Actually, someone's just put it. I think Soumare. That's not a bad shout, to be honest with you. Even Soumare. But yeah, like you mentioned, like it's just rumors and stuff, and like the players being unhappy. That's fair, right? But the thing is that we're not watching the body language of the players and things that are coming out, right? It's completely there in front of you. It's just so easy to say. I'll give you like a list of things that's just obvious, right? So remember there was that report about Fast not enjoying playing on the left-hand side, right? People unsettled. Me and you talked about James Justin's comments on the weekend, right? Look at Harry Winks this season. I've never seen... He looks like he's got PTSD. Or he's like on his period or something like that. Sorry, ladies in the chat. But he just doesn't look happy. Both Fatawu and Mavidi did always sometimes look a bit miserable, but Fatawu just looks like he's lost his joy for playing, which is like that beaming smile was a thing that got us through a lot of games, I feel, right? On the weekend, right, in that pouring rain, people telling me that Bobby Reid was running around for 15 minutes in that piss pouring rain at half time, thinking he's going to come on, not even used at all the whole game. Then if you saw Hamza Chowdhury yesterday, run straight off the pitch at the end of it. I think Ragsy's already mentioned the penalties that basically they did no talking to one another or not coming to, not the huddle coming around to a team or anything like that. You can just see it. It's all there for you to see. And wake up and smell the bacon. But yeah, just the spicy ones. Yeah, can expect to see Danny Ward and Boubakary Soumare come into the lineup.
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying there about all these different stories, the body language. In isolation, one story might be bullshit. But when all of these things are happening, something I think is brewing. And, if it is true, I'm sure the board or whoever are aware of it. And if results, that's why I have a bit of hope that maybe the club would pull the trigger. Over the last 2 days, I'd say I've had more hope that the club will pull the trigger earlier, sooner rather than later, unlike what they did with Brendan. And again, I think a big part of that is also credit in the bank, because that is why I think Rodgers had so long as well. Ant says, can we have a word about how we still put the sprinklers on at halftime? Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that was funny. I did see that. This exactly is my point. And Neil Cooper's influence on players is depressing. Tyler says what we saw yesterday can create a hater out of even the biggest optimist. Every story needs some kind of truth for it to make any sort of rounds. Because let's not pretend that Team Talk and them have been wrong 100% of the time. Of course, they spout a lot of shit, but some of it is true. So, but anyway, just last one on the team lineup. Silfox says same lineup as Everton, but Skip in instead of Buonanotte. Did Buonanotte didn't start? Did he? Bilal El-Khanous, maybe he means Bilal El-Khanous. Yeah. Right. We're coming towards the end. Don't leave us just yet. Stay tuned, please. Don't switch off. Score predictions. We're going to go round the houses. Ragsy, I want to know your score prediction for this one, mate.
Going to be optimistic. 2-0 Arsenal.
I think that is... I'll just say, Mike.
That's what I can hope for. What should we expect? Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. That's my prediction as well. 2-0. Josh, what about you, mate?
Forza goal difference intact. There we go.
Yeah. I think we'll score. To be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if Leicester go 1-0 up. But I'd say maybe 3-1 or 4-1. But yeah, we can't. Yeah, 3-1. I'll say.
Yeah, 100%. And over to you, Anil, mate. Score prediction.
It's a popular one, 2-0. I think we won't concede till around 70 minutes, but we'll have an XG of 0.01.
Yeah, I mean, we keep getting told this, that Cooper doesn't get obliterated, although we did obliterate them back in 2022, didn't we? Was it 4-0, I think? Our first win of the season as well, wasn't it? So, yeah, that was a bit wild. Matt Clark says, have you heard that Dean Hammond joining Leicester's backroom staff? I haven't heard that.
I thought he already was a lone liaison manager or something like that. Maybe I'm getting that wrong.
I don't know. He also said thoughts on Ben Marshall. I've got no idea what you're talking about, Matt. So please elaborate. Ben Marshall, quality player, only scored screamers. Let's get some score predictions and get your score predictions in the chat so we can bring them up. LCFC fan says, my brain says 2-0 Arsenal. My heart says 1-0 to us. Prawn and Chip says 0-0 and Cooper will survive another day. By the way, guys, I don't think even if we get beat 5-0, he won't be sacked for that, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's Silver Fox says 4-1 loss. Ant says 2-0 to who? I'm guessing Arsenal. England number 4 says my 1% IQ says 3-0. And Chester Leicester says 8-1 Arsenal. Ricardo with our only goal. Ricardo, I think, goes to shush Steve Cooper on the touchline. And 6-0 Arsenal. Let's try and find a good one to end on. A positive one. No, they're all negative. 7-0 Arsenal. There we go. Then we'll end on this one from Ant. 0-0. Most vile with unreal time wasting 0 shots. Thanks to everyone who's watched. Remember, hit the like button, hit subscribe. I've got a opposition preview coming out for the members, 8 a.m. tomorrow, 9 a.m. tomorrow, sorry. And then if you're not a member, that'll be live from about 12. That's with Dan Potts, 12th Arsenal, football's 12th man. So he gave me a good insight into Arsenal and what he expects. And yeah, we've got Match Day Live coming up on Saturday from 2:45. So join us for that one. Just going around the houses quickly. Ragsy over on Talk Leicester City or Foss Hub. What's coming up?
Yeah. Just we're also doing like live watch-alongs with the games, any sort of post-match reviews. So yeah, if you're like, we're about on playback, and we'll link it to Twitter as well, or Instagram and stuff. And yeah, you can come, join along, even get involved in the chat, even bring yourselves on. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, everybody's welcome. So yeah, just keep tuning with us. Talk Leicester City podcast, and with Foss Hub as well.
Just before I come to you, Josh, can I just show you the funniest, contradicting thing I've ever seen? So Ivan said, oh, come on, Locks, give Cooper a chance. Do we really want to become the laughingstock of football and become the new Watford? And literally a minute earlier, he said 6-0 Arsenal. So I don't know. I don't know what Ivan's thinking there. Josh, mate, Sports of YouTube, what's coming up?
Well, I'll be there on Saturday. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. So there will be some content from the Emirates, which will be an interesting one. But yeah, just a standard really, then a reaction. On Sunday, maybe we'll be discussing a win. You never know. Yeah, the best match day vlogs on YouTube from Sports. Anil, mate, what about you on for Fox 8 TV? I know you did an analysis last night, or an analysis last night for Walsall. So check that out, everyone. But yeah, what's coming up?
I'll do a match preview, and it's going to involve a lot of buses being parked. Yeah. Or a look at the tactics of both teams, because that's pretty much what we can expect to see from this game. But still, horses for courses. Maybe you'll be getting your Steve Cooper glasses and cigar Photoshop out. Maybe you can show that on Saturday, but we'll see. All right, thanks to everyone again. Thanks to Josh, Ragsy, and Anil for joining me. And like I said, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you on tomorrow for the opposition preview. Cheers all. Thanks. Bye-bye.